Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 655. The Artemis 2 has landed. It is 11:02 p.m. on Saturday, April 11th, 2026. We're getting ready to enter the most historic week of April. April has had a lot of history. I'll talk over some of the anniversaries coming up that are historical as well that I got coming up for this past week. But this upcoming week has got a lot of historical stuff happening. Well, not a lot. There's a couple of big ones, and then some important birthdays, and then going over to 420. There's another big one there too. So April's always been this kind of state and kind of month that's sort of been rough when it comes to history, things happening, and stuff like that. Not all good stuff, bad stuff, but you can actually see it a little bit. If you look over there, over there, you can see my son's new chair and his computer. He has moved his computer down here, so we have a brand new backdrop now. It is sort of all clear right now for now. But yeah, he plays his video games down here now. He's got an Ethernet cable now that goes over this way, that goes right over to his computer right over there. So he has better access to the Wi-Fi. So that's what he did this week during his spring break. He did that. They cleaned out the refrigerator, which was good because it needed it done badly. Today I went and looked at a retirement village for my mom. I'm going to go see her tomorrow after I discuss with my sister about things. I'm not looking forward to that tomorrow. So, que sera, I guess. But yes, the Artemis has landed. Artemis 2 has made its historic trek, has made it back. It was launched April 1st, which I talked about on last week's show. And it landed on April 10th, circled the moon, and then came back to Earth perfectly fine on Friday, April 10th. So here we are, April 11th. So everything is all good. It is also Orthodox Easter. I think I mentioned it earlier, which means it's Orthodox Easter's tomorrow. It always seems to be about a week behind Catholic Easter. Last year was the one time in a while where they both coincide on the same Sunday. So that happens occasionally, but that's right. I was taking a look at some stuff next year. Easter is obscenely early next year. I think it's the 28th or 29th of March, which is bleh. But that's next year. So we still got time to go. Yep, it is April 11th. And hey, guess what? We have a new date for the Rapture. It's April 23rd. Fox News reported that. Yippee, I guess. another chance to see the Rapture, again. I have a dentist appointment that day, and then the Michael Jackson biopic opens the next day, and I plan on taking my mom to this retirement village that weekend, the 25th or 26th. My wife will be camping. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, so that's the next Rapture date. So keep your eyes peeled for that as well. All right. Found this. Fanta did released their Crimson Sour Cherry. So I've been wanting to try this. Sour cherry sounds like an interesting flavor for a soda because you have cherry soda already, but now you have sour cherry. And you can tell from the bottle it's like a deeper red. So let's find out. Smells like cherry. Ooh. That's kind of good. You know what it tastes like? It tastes like black cherry. Not sour. I don't really get a sour note to it, but it does taste like a black cherry soda or black cherry flavor. This is really good, actually. A little bit of a sour flavor once you hit it again, but it's not overly strong. But yeah, I get really strong black cherry vibes from this. There's nothing wrong with that. Black cherry is actually excellent. So a Again, I can sort of see maybe where you get a little bit of the sour in there. Once you get deeper into it, you can get some of the sour aftertaste in there, but it's not a sour. It's just a very subtle sour. Again, I get that feeling that sour flavor is sort of what makes a black cherry flavor a black cherry flavor. So this is actually really, really good. Crimson Sour Cherry. So I may have to pick this one up again also. So that was good. So yeah, there's 2 sodas in a row now. I don't think there's anything new coming out in the next couple of weeks. I think later this summer we'll be getting some of the root beer float ones, stuff like that. I'll see if I can find that. The weird thing is, Dirty Mountain Dew came out last week, supposed to go wide last week. Actually, supposed to go wide Monday. Actually, I got it on. That's right, that's Saturday. So it was supposed to go wide on Monday. I have not seen it anywhere. I have not seen it at Food Lion. I haven't seen it at Weiss. I haven't gone to Giant, so I couldn't tell you if it's there, and I haven't been to Safeway yet. I went to Safeway on Saturday, and it wasn't there either. So interesting. So we'll see. But yeah, that's actually pretty decent. Crimson Sour Cherry from Fanta is actually a black cherry sort of flavor, which you get a little note of sour in there, but it's nothing too awful or terrible, and that's a good thing. So hooray. Let me just check here. Last week I ran the show on my phone, and it worked pretty good, I think. But I am also going back old school now. I got my notepad, so we're going to get started right now. Is Sabrina the Teenage Witch the next in line for a reboot? The Malcolm in the Middle reboot came out this week on Disney Plus. 4 episodes, has been getting nothing but stellar reviews. Everything I've read so far, everybody enjoys it immensely. The Scrubs reboot has done extraordinarily well, gotten a lot of really good vibes as well. So maybe they're starting to unlock this formula now. So could Sabrina the Teenage Witch be next? They are getting ready to celebrate their 30th anniversary. Wow, it did come out in 96, didn't it? Jeez. Man, I'm old. So it might be in line for it. This was reported by Joe Blow, which is a site that I listen to fairly closely. Today was Tinka Tank Community Day in Pokemon Go. So pretty decent. Got about 10 shinies. Got about 10 shinies, which is fine. And it's a Pokemon you don't normally see in the wild. Usually get them mostly from egg hatches. So it was nice to see him in the wild. They announced next month's community date is Lechonk, which is the pig one that it became a meme. And it'll be getting its own community day on May 9th, 2026, which is the day before Mother's Day. So got that coming up. The Netflix sports drama Perfect with Millie Bobby Brown has been canceled after she has left the project. So they decide, we can't do this without her, so we're just going to cut it. Boom, done. With the arrival of The Mandalorian and Grogu coming in May, True Moose is re-releasing their Star Wars Blue Milk. Coming out here soon. I missed it the first go round when it came out a couple of years ago, so I might pick it up again this round. Which reminds me, it's the 11th. Probably in about 2 weeks, I will be doing my summer movie preview for the summer movies coming out this year. It's a decent summer. So we'll see if it keeps up there. Andrew Nichols, one of my favorite writer-directors. He did Gattaca. He wrote and directed Gattaca. He wrote The Truman Show, and he's done a whole bunch of other films since then. One of the films he did with Nicolas Cage was called Lord of War, and he didn't do spectacularly well, but did decent enough that they are prepping a sequel called Lords of War. Nicolas Cage has returned, and he will be co-starring with Bill Skarsgård, who will be playing his son, which is crazy to think that Nicolas Cage's son could be Bill Skarsgård, but the ages line up, so that's appropriate. We had our first look at it, so obviously I think it's filmed. It's due out, or still filming right now, but we got our first look at it. So it's coming. Neon Picks Up Hope, a film with Alicia Vikander, Michael Fassbender. It is set near a demilitarized zone about a tiger that enters the demilitarized zone and they have to try to survive. Here's some science stuff. Keio University in Japan has developed a robotic tail to help give balance to elderly people. So I guess that's one of the problems where they have elderly people falling, stuff like that. This robotic tail will assist them in staying upright and balanced. So decent idea. This is kind of weird. Great white shark carcasses have been washing up on the coast of South Africa lately. And when the people just looked at the carcasses, they discovered that the liver is missing on all of these that have washed up here, and just the liver. So it's kind of interesting to see what's going on with that. So that's to be continued. Some weird stuff happening in the world here. That's just one of, there's another one I'm going to talk about a little later down the road. Anniversaries. Grosse Pointe Blank debuted 29 years ago this week. Saw that in movie theaters, enjoyed it immensely. It's a great John Cusack film. So that's good. Anaconda, the original one, also debuted 29 years ago this week. They must have debuted on the same day. I remember seeing that in the movie theaters also, I think. So there we go. I think that might have been, no, 96 was the year I went to see 51 movies. I think, I'm pretty sure, not sure. Going back to the sour cherry. I really like this. Poser is coming to Netflix, starring Jamie Ray Newman, Jesse Cohen, Tess Paris, and Camilla Allen, I believe. So it's pretty cool. We got our first teaser for the Hunger Games Summer of the Reaping, due out November 20th, where it's set in the past, and a lot of the characters from the Hunger Games appear in the past, but as younger selves. This trailer basically shows all the stars who how they're going to look in the movie. They're prequel versions to the older versions. So they show the older version and then the new version. So you got Jesse Plemons, you've got Maya Hawke, you've got Elle Fanning, and you've got Ray Fiennes and stuff like that. It looks pretty, and it looks decent. I might have to get myself caught up on all that stuff. We are first trailer for Punisher: One Last Kill. Apparently, John Barenthal is producing and co-wrote it, which is really cool. It shows how invested he is in the character. Looks like a Punisher one shot, so it looks decent enough. So there you go. The original Tales from the Crypt HBO series that came out in the 90s has been moved to Shudder, the horror channel, and they'll have every episode showing up there soon. So Tales from the Crypt was one of those great HBO series that came out in those early 90s, up there with Dream On and stuff like that were just really, really good. Tales from the Crypt was really interesting because they were horror movies. They were little mini horror movies, half-hour long episodes. Big stars wanted to be involved with it because they were half hour and they were little mini horror films, stuff like that. You got some key directors. Robert Zemeckis, who was a producer of it, directed a number of episodes. Michael J. Fox directed an episode of it, and he starred in it as well. Arnold Schwarzenegger directed an episode. I don't think he starred in it, but I think he directed it. And you just got some really good shows and some really good performances. So it's well worth it. I enjoyed those. This fall, late summer into fall, is looking to be another really good one for books. And the fact is I don't do a lot of reading, and I can't sit down and just patiently sit and read. I try to, but there's just so much coming out. We got a Kyle MacLachlan memoir. We've got a oral history of the Batman and the animated series, which is fantastic. Let me just tell you, because there's a new one that's joining the list that I'm interested in as well. Let me see what else is on my list here. Sorry. The Comic Clock one, the history of the Batman, the animated series, Stephen King and Peter Straub's final Talisman novels coming out this fall also. Those might be the big ones. I think the rest are just have videos on here. Yeah, the rest are ones I think that have come out already. And now add Ke Huy Quan, who was short round in Indiana Jones and was also in the Goonies, and then got an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once, is releasing a memoir on September 15th. So it'll be kind of nice to read that and check that out as well. I started thinking about stuff. The two memoirs I need to be written and released are a memoir written by Robert Downey Jr. about his early rise in the 80s, his drug issues in the 90s, and how he cleaned himself up and got to the point where he is now. And then Kurt Russell, because I kind of remember the story, but someone on Threads reminded me that he was the first person to call in the Phoenix lights that we had back in the 90s, which was an interesting UFO sighting. And he was the first person to call in the lights to that. And then his kids told stories on, I guess, Conan or something like that. The one where he was at OJ's house when OJ returned from the notorious white Bronco chase, because he lived right down the street. They were watching the broadcast, and he's like, he's right down the street. And he got up and ran out the door, and they're like, where are you going? And so they're watching this, and you have the helicopter view of it as the white Bronco pulls in the parking lot. So the gates open, and the white Bronco's coming in, and Kurt Russell's right there. You don't know it's him because he's coming from, but his kids are like, yeah, that's him. So he was right there as the Bronco comes in. Also, he told this story on Conan or something like that. So we'll have to take this with, and I think the Hudsons mentioned, Kate and all that mentioned it briefly. He claims that he was camping and he had just made his dinner or whatever, and he had to get up and like go to the bathroom or something like that. So he went into the woods, and then when he came back, his food was gone. So he was like, what the hell happened? He said an animal must have did it, but he didn't see any animal around, didn't see anybody, people, anything like that, didn't know what was going on. And then a little while down the line, there was a news story that made everything crystal clear, according to Kurt Russell. Ted Bundy, the serial killer, had escaped from custody and had run into the woods, and he had told somebody that he survived because he stole food from a campfire. So people were thinking that he stole food from Kurt Russell and kept going before Kurt Russell came back from doing his business in the woods. And then I also found out this week that Walt Disney's last words were Kurt Russell, because Kurt Russell was a actor who did a lot of stuff for Disney. So that was a good thing. And then another thing on top of that was that Kurt Russell himself told a story to somebody, maybe Colbert, but I didn't know exactly what it was, where when he was a kid, he was like an extra in the background or whatever. He was one of the actors who was able to either kick or step on Elvis's feet in an Elvis movie that they were making. So he told that story as well. So I want to hear a Kurt Russell, and I want to hear a Robert Downey Jr. Memoirs. But at Ke Huy Quan, I'll do that right now. It's good. And Comic Hawkins, of course. All good on those. It'll be interesting to see those. The Seattle Mariners, one of the greatest Seattle Mariners players of all time was Ichiro Suzuki, and he is still one of the greatest players, and he's still one of the nicest people in the world. So he's retired now, and so they decided they were going to put a statue of him outside of Mariner Stadium. The official unveiling was today, and when they unveiled it, the bat that Suzuki was holding was broken on the sculpture. So Don't know what's going to happen with that, if he's going to be able to fix it or what. I don't know, because the sculptor saw that and he freaked out. So we'll see what happens. This is kind of interesting. Daredevil season 2 is well underway right now. And wide-eyed viewers discover what they thought was the Watcher making a quick cameo appearance in the show. But some people were saying, nah, it's warehouse lights and all stuff. It's just the way it was done. It was like an Easter egg to try to, get people to think that it was a Watcher, but it's not. But then the guy who's like the producer of the TV show is like, yeah, that was a Watcher. So that was kind of cool. So that was neat. That happened in the most recent episode, I think. So that's kind of cool. This is kind of cool. I love Netflix animation. Klaus is one of my favorite Netflix animated films of all time, and they've done a whole lot of other really good ones. I haven't seen Pinocchio yet, but I've heard good things about that as well. They've got 2 animated films. I think there might be more, but these are 2 that just were announced this week that I'm really looking forward to. One a little bit more than the other, but I didn't know about these until this week. First up, we have Ray Gunn, Gunn. It's an animated film from Brad Bird, who directed The Incredibles and also The Iron Giant. And it's an animated film set in like this weird 1930s technologically advanced sort of society. And you get the voices of Sam Rockwell, who is awesome, and Scarlett Johansson in it. So right off the bat, that's good. No date is set for it yet, but I'm assuming we will see it by the end of the year. I would assume probably closer to Thanksgiving, I would bet. Or maybe not, because we have this one also. They announced also Steps, which is a kind of a redoing of Cinderella. But this time, one of Cinderella's evil stepsisters does something to the fairy godmother or whatever, and she disappears, and then things start going downhill for the whole reality they're in. So the evil stepsister has to team up with Cinderella to try to make things right. Cinderella will be voiced by Amanda Seyfried, who is another great actress who I'd love to see. So those are some good stuff coming up from Netflix. Again, no date on that yet. No date on that yet on either of them. Once they get the dates up, I will let you know. I would assume it'll be sometime the tail end of this year, probably Thanksgiving, Christmas era. We'll probably see one or both of these. Maybe before then, who knows? But looking forward to it. Because I have a Netflix movie that I'm dying to see. Come up here. Let's see if it's on this page. It isn't. We'll have to deal with it in a little bit. But we'll talk about that in a second. Speaking of the Pinocchio animated film, which was basically a stop motion thing done by Guillermo del Toro, I've never seen this movie. It's always intrigued me, and now I might actually have to go see it. Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, kind of a horror fantasy film, is going to be celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, and it's releasing in movie theaters the weekend of October 9th. And I might have to go see that in the movie theaters because I've heard nothing but good things about it. And it's kind of a horror fantasy film. So having it come out in October is a brilliant idea because it is this horror fantasy sort of film thing. So you could get that October feeling going on, because I keep banging my head on this. I keep reiterating it. And I know you guys are probably sick of hearing it, but film distribution companies need to realize that during spooky season in October, people want to see scary movies. They don't want to wait till November. Frankenstein. They want to see them in October because it's spooky season. The whole month is spooky season. The whole month is building to Halloween. And they want to go every weekend doing something. That's why the haunted woods and the we call them the wagon rides and the pumpkin patches and all that are hugely popular because they go on the weekends, because fall is awesome. October is the best month of the year and it's spooky season. So when you don't, want to go, if you've already done the Haunted Woods or the Hayride or whatever, then we'll go see movies. They want to see scary movies. They don't want to wait till the weekend of Halloween to see scary movies. They want to see scary movies through the whole month of October. They have their scary movie marathons at their dorm rooms, their houses, whatever. My daughter and her room and her dorm mates, they had a horror, massive horror marathons the whole month of October. So good for them. I might have to go see that October 9th. They Might Be Giants, one of my favorite bands. So I really haven't heard much from them in a while. They're releasing a new album on April 14th called The World Is to Dig Out. I haven't heard any songs from it yet. I haven't gotten their last couple of albums, but this one might be an intriguing one. Welcome to Wrexham has been renewed for 3 more seasons. So we're going to see 3 more seasons of Ryan Reynolds and his football team. Local news, the Baltimore Orioles have these new City Connect uniforms. They're okay looking. The orange and black is very minimal. There's more of the green sort of look to them, but they're different and they're unique. Speaking of horror films, Undertone sequel is coming. That's one that should be coming out October, though. The first one just came out last month, I think. But the sequel is coming, so we'll see that soon. Anthony Mackie and Daphne Keane are set to team up for a thriller called Barracuda. That's pretty interesting to see those two together. Cambodia unveils a 7-foot statue honoring Magawa, the hero rat who sniffed out 100 landmines. So that's pretty cool. Frankie Faison, Alex Moffat. Hey, and there's my pepper kitty. Frankie Faison, Alex Moffat, Heidi Carter joined Cameron Diaz and Stephen Merchant's rom-com. Hi, big man. Everybody, there's Pepper. He's here to co-host the show. He loves doing that, doesn't he? Gary Lennox is delivering a new crime drama called Los Feliz for Stars. McDonald's K-pop Demon Hunter cards are selling upwards of $200 online. Eve Houston is set to team up with Channing Tatum in the movie Isle of Men. Tom Pelphrey is joining Liminal, a sci-fi film with Vanessa Kirby, and Yayu Abdul Matan II, who's all over this week's episode of Dylan Knows. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have decided to move their wedding from Rhode Island to New York and have moved the date from June 13th to July 3rd. So don't know how I feel about that, but you know what? None of my fucking business, because it's their wedding. They do whatever they want. So there you go. So it's now been moved to July 3rd. There's probably a good reason for it. Excuse me. The House in the Cerulean Sea is to get an animated series from the WB Animation, so that could be kind of interesting to see. The other scary sort of thing that's going on in the world, besides the sharks getting their livers removed from them, a 9th scientist has gone missing who's connected to ufology. So that's starting to get scary. And 8th and 9th were reported missing this week alone. So something weird is happening again. Anniversaries, Grindhouse, the Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez homage to Grindhouse films debuted 19 years ago this week. The Daredevil TV show from Netflix debuted 11 years ago this week. The classic King Arthur film Excalibur debuted 45 years ago this week. The wonderful Michael J. Fox rom-com The Secret of My Success debuted 39 years ago. Again, it's a great rom-com. It was Michael J. Fox on top of the world doing Michael J. Fox stuff. Great cast, interesting storyline, great directing by Herbert Ross. The interesting thing, though, is that there's only 2 redeemable characters in the main character group, and it's John Pankow's mailroom buddy and the secretary that works for Michael J. Fox. Those are the only two. Even Michael J. Fox's character is not quite all there. Newsies with Christian Bale debuted 34 years ago this week. And Sleepwalkers, the Stephen King original story about creatures that are scared by cats, also debuted 34 years ago this week. Deaths this week, DJ Africa Bambata, a premier pioneering DJ, dead at the age of 67. Browning Kenneth Nagel, an NFL quarterback, died at the age of 57. Jackie Moore, early NBA pioneer, passed away this week as well. All right, next up. James Wan is trying to develop the Call of Cthulhu, which would be amazing if you could do that, because then hopefully Guillermo del Toro could do at the Mountains of Madness, which he's been dying to do for a while. If James Wan can get the Call of Cthulhu off the ground and be successful, we'll see what happens. So that's to be watched. Carrie Condon is joining the cast of The God of the Woods with Maya Hawke. Fiona Dorff, Brad Dourif's daughter, has joined the cast of A Head Full of Ghosts with Dennis Harbour and Rebecca Hall, which could be pretty interesting based on a book, I think. Southern Bastards is a new Hulu drama pilot, has just cast Kevin Bacon in the lead. Local news, could the Baltimore Ravens be playing the Dallas Cowboys in Rio week 3 of this year's season? We know the Cowboys are going to be playing in Rio this year. They believe it will be week 3 when they do the Rio game. The Ravens do play the Cowboys, with the Cowboys being the home team this year. So it would make sense, I guess. I was hoping more for them playing the Falcons in Spain. But you can't always get what you want, so we'll see what happens. But that could be what's coming. Noah Wyle gets his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Considering what he did this year, he deserves it, winning every major award. Golden Globe, Emmys, stuff like that for his role in The Pit. Joe Alwyn, Richard Gadd, Kingsley Ben-Adir, Joel Kinnaman, Daniel Ingis, Bob Morley, and Fatini Bologna are set to join Husbands with Juno Temple from Ted Lasso. Here's a great cast here. Great casting here. Lena Headey, Andrew McCarthy, and James Lance, who was Trent Krim from Ted Lasso, have all joined the cast of Wednesday Season 3, which is currently filming right now. So that's fantastic news. This is also fantastic news. It's about freaking time. Amazon Prime is going to be doing a RoboCop series. It's been long gestating for a long time, but now we're finally going to get one. We had one that was a syndicated one that was sort of neutered. Putting it on Prime Video might be a good way to bring back the fans of RoboCop. Now, here's the thing I have to say about RoboCop, and I'm going to say this real quick. The character design of RoboCop is one of the cleanest designs in movie history. I love the costume. I love the design. I love that they were able to furnish it, and Peter Weller was able to do it, and whoever else played it in the other movies and the TV show, that they were able to do it. But it is one of the cleanest and coolest sort of costume ideas. So it'll be interesting to see. I didn't see the remake, but it had sort of a sleeker, darker quality to it, which could be excellent too. I might take a closer look at it, and I might have to check that out. That's a PG-13 though, so we'll see. But the fact is, they're doing a TV show. We'll see what happens. And I just got to say, the RoboCop skin is perfect. I have the RoboCop skin in Fortnite also. I use it all the time. I think it's clean and it's wonderful. Mutiny trailer with Jason Statham debuted. It's basically a Jason Statham movie where he is a guy who's called out of retirement sort of to do something. He has to take down a mutiny on board a human trafficking ship, or not a mutiny. He has to take down the human traffickers on the sea on a ship that he's on. Steve Carell show Rooster gets a second season. Also, local news, the Baltimore Ravens are set to get new uniforms. They'll be revealed on April 16th. Hopefully, they're not going to suck. We'll talk about that next week. It's never too early to talk about Halloween. I talked about October earlier. We were talking about Pan's Labyrinth. Home Depot, which still sucks ass, but they still have good Halloween stuff. This year, they are releasing their new giant. They do a new giant decoration every year. This year, it is a 9-foot tall T-Rex skeleton. Is going to be the newest Halloween craze this year. A single Fantastic Four comic page sold for $15,000 from, looked like it was a Jack Kirby version. Oh, this is good stuff. All right, get myself a 12-pack. The animated Disney version of Alice in Wonderland will be getting a 4K release in time for its 75th anniversary. I think they're also going to be re-releasing it in theaters for the 70th anniversary as well. Peter Dinklage has been cast in Alien Earth Season 2. Fortnite unlocks certain regions of your brain. I hope so, because I've been playing it for close to 6 years now. Cameron Diaz is also getting all over the place. She's been cast in a sequel/reboot of Troop Beverly Hills from Clea Duvall, who is an actress who has moved over to directing now. So that's interesting. For those who don't remember, it was a Shelley Long film about a rich woman in Beverly Hills who takes over a Girl Scout troop and turns them into Troop of Beverly Hills. I guess they sell a lot of cookies or whatever. I never saw it. But Cameron Diaz in the role could be interesting, and maybe we get a Shelley Long cameo. We'll see. The Manuoki, or the White Tern, is thriving in Honolulu, Hawaii. So that's fantastic. New Jersey troopers rescued a bear cub that was alone on the side of a New Jersey busy highway. MAGA is upset that teen pregnancies are down. I wish I was joking. I'm not. They were talking about how people are not having babies, and they say the biggest group that should be having babies, that has the biggest deficit, is the 15 to 17-year-olds. So remember that MAGA wants teenage pregnancy, but if you've been following the news, you kind of already knew that. Jack Ball, Kyler Miranda, and Julian Gray are set to join How to Survive Without Me for HBO. Straw Stalker is a found footage scarecrow horror film coming out soon. Scarecrow horror has always been interesting to me. I think it's a underutilized genre. I think clowns are a little bit overutilized, but scarecrow slasher films are a little bit more intense, and I kind of like that. So, yeah, we'll see. Anniversaries. The George Burns film 18 Again debuted 38 years ago this week. Parks and Rec debuted 17 years ago this week. Go debuted 27 years ago this week, which is a millennial version, I guess, of Pulp Fiction. It was released during the height of the late 90s teen craziness, and it was their version of a Pulp Fiction, almost multiple characters, multiple storylines told in a non-linear fashion on New Year's Eve. So intriguing. Katie Holmes, one of the biggest names in that film. The Girl Next Door, the sex comedy, debuted 22 years ago this week. Ella Enchanted, the early Anne Hathaway films, debuted 22 years ago this week. I talked about earlier in the show about the history of April, how historic things happen in April. Here's one for you. The South surrendered in the Civil War this week. So the Civil War effectively ended this week in 1865 when the South surrendered. Too bad we didn't punish them more. We wouldn't be in the case we're in right now, but there we go. Deaths. I remember this guy a lot. Davey Lopes, former manager, but was best known as one of the greatest second basemen in baseball history, played primarily for the Dodgers, but he also had quite a good career as a manager as well. He passed away this week. And I do remember him because I used to watch baseball all the time. Zeppa, a popular Japanese, YouTube content creator, died at the age of 26. Melissa Jones, Baylor women's basketball player, died at the age of 36. And Michael Patrick, Game of Thrones actor, passed away at the age of 35 this week. Jacqueline Boatswain, Tega Alexander, and Gemma Knight-Jones are set to join the new season of Bridgerton, which get ready to film here very shortly. The Ketamine Queen, who gave the lethal dose to Matthew Perry, is going to be sentenced this week, so we'll find out what her sentence is. Melina Matsoukas is set to direct an adaptation of Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower. Uma Thurman is set to return in Dexter Resurrection Season 2. Alfre Woodard and Andre Holland are set to star in The Thing That Hurts. We get our final look at the Michael trailer, the Michael Jackson biopic from Antoine Fuqua, set to debut April 24th. And we also get our final Devil Wears Prada 2 trailer, both of which are excellent films and are coming up very soon. One week after each other, actually. Michael comes out the 24th, and the Devil Wears Prada 2 comes out on the 1st of May. I am taking off the 1st of May to see Devil Wears Prada 2. I will probably see Michael at the same time if the movie theater is actually doing a good job with that, setting that up. We also get the Exit 8 trailer, which is based on a video game, kind of a backrooms-esque Japanese film, but instead of it being in the backrooms, it is set in a subway station where someone gets lost and cannot disappear from it. Peter Jackson still wants to direct The Adventures of Tintin 2. So he's not really doing much right now, so maybe he'll get his chance. Chris Hemsworth is set to return in Extraction 3 for Netflix with Idris Elba. Good Omens' final episode drops on May 13th. I think we got a teaser for that. Richard Gadd and Jamie Bell are set to star in Half Moon series on HBO. Catherine Newton, who's also all over the place this week on my show. Storm Reed and Dove Cameron, 3 great names, by the way, are set to star in Roxy Sophie Sorkin's, another great name, film thriller Hot Year. A graphic novel version of The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot has been released this week. Lifetime is set to release a Duck Dynasty love story rom-com. Great. Michael Douglas, who's never appeared in a pop culture convention, is going to be appearing in his first one ever when he goes to the Rhode Island Comic-Con November 6th to the 8th. So that's kind of cool. Sebastian Stan and Scarlett Johansson, as well as Andy Serkis, are all signed on to Batman 2. We got our first look at Not Suitable for Work, Mindy Kaling's workplace comedy. This is a mini series based on a novel. It's called Count My Lies, and it's got a fantastic cast. It includes Lindsay Lohan, Lou Diamond Phillips, Catherine Lanasa, Shailene Wotley, and Kit Harington. So really good cast, and said to be making time here soon. R.J. Decker casts Stephen Bishop and David Zayas for their show. Jenna Ortega has been offered the lead in Gremlins 3 by Chris Columbus. We'll see if she accepts it. Pet Parakeet was videotaped scuba diving in a homemade submersible by its owner. Dole Whip foaming body wash. If you want to smell like your favorite Dole Whip flavor, you can now do it with a body wash. Aubrey Plaza is expecting a baby with her boyfriend about 1.5 years after the death of her husband. Now, people were freaking out about this because she said it's so soon after your husband died and now you're pregnant. It's like everyone grieves in their own way and there's nothing wrong with it. The only thing that would make it really bad is she was going around, doing shows with pyrotechnics and dancing and hugging people for really long periods of time while her kids are back at home who just lost a parent. Meanwhile, this other person is just bounding around the country like she has no cares in the world. But that's besides the point. We're not talking about that. Aubrey Plaza, I don't understand the hate for that. So I'll move on with that. A sheep learns how to use a joystick to drive her own wheelchair. When she was injured, her owner created something for her to use, and she figured out how to use it. So I told you that Netflix has some great animated films coming up. They have a great regular film coming up on May 8th, a couple days, the Friday before Mother's Day. Sounds fantastic. I talked about this earlier. Remarkably Bright Creatures. Stars Sally Field, Lewis Pullman, and Alfred Molina. And we finally got our first trailer to see what it's actually about, and it looks freaking fantastic. It's set about a woman played by Sally Field who's been taking care of an octopus who you hear the inner monologue of, who's the voice of Alfred Molina. And she's had a rough life, and then Lewis Pullman comes in. He's had a rough life, and the two of them try to recover from their rough lives. It looks good, looks fantastic, looks like a great movie. A lot of fun, a lot of drama, so we'll check that out eventually. Should be really, really good. Anniversaries. My show, Twin Peaks, debuted 36 years ago this week on TV. King Kong, the original, debuted 93 years ago. Holy God. The Bad News Bears debuted 50 years ago. I think it was this week. If not, it's sometime this year. They talked a little bit about the Bad News Bears, but it's 50 years, so it was 50 years ago, probably this week. Now, a lot of people don't remember this, but I do because I watched it, and I enjoyed it because I was a huge Spider-Man fan. The Spider-Man live-action TV show debuted 48 years ago this week. I think it only lasted about one season, had a great sequence, filmed bits and pieces in New York, but did not have like the special effects. So you really couldn't have Spider-Man swinging around New York City. So when you needed him, like from the rooftops, they had him up on a rooftop in New York City, and they played this really cool, like late 70s, early 80s sort of this great musical bit while he was sneaking up on a criminal or whatever. And it was, Nicholas Hammond played the role of Peter Parker. It was phenomenal. I loved the show. It was great as a kid. Haven't seen it recently. Probably not as good, obviously, from 48 years ago. But still one of my favorites. Makes it 1978. I was 5 years old when I watched it when it came out. Continuing with April being a bad time for regular history, Kurt Cobain committed suicide this week, 32 years ago this week. Deaths, Nick Pope, a UFO investigator, passed away this week. Ancient Aliens was one of his, he was a regular person who was on the Ancient Aliens TV show. And Barry Caldwell, an animator director for Animaniacs, passed away at the age of 68 this week. I won't have pages. I'm just moving right along again. It'll be just over an hour here. The Oscars have announced their official date for 2027. It is Sunday, March 14th. 2027 will be next year's Oscars, which means on March 13th, 2027, I'll be doing my Oscar prediction show this past week to remind you all. I was 17-7. Hopefully I can beat that next year. Excuse me. Dark Matter Season 2. We got our first look at that with Jennifer Connelly. Debuts on August 28th on Apple Plus TV, I believe. Noah Hawley, who's been known mostly for television stuff, is set to develop a new version of the old horror film Terrified. Olivia Holt has joined Mason Gooding in Heart Ice 2, which I've heard is a pretty decent slasher film of the last few years. Emerald Fennell denies that she is in talks to do a Basic Instinct reboot, but if you do have to do a Basic Instinct reboot, I think Emerald Fennell would be perfect. but she has said that she is not in the business right now of prepping a reboot for it. The Invite trailer, excuse me, Olivia Wilde returns to directing after she had a rough time on her last film. She's directing and starring in this film that co-stars Penelope Cruz, Edward Norton, and Seth Rogen. KJ Apa, Madeline Arthur, Josh Brenner, Ashley Pope, Alexandra Shipp, and Justin Smith have joined Nick Jonas and Catherine Newton's horror holiday film White Elephant. For those who don't know, the White Elephant tradition at Christmas time is everybody brings a present. It's wrapped. No one knows what's in it. They put it on, they bring it in and they put it all together. No one knows whose box is whose. Then you draw numbers, and then the first person goes, grabs a present, opens it up, shows the world what it is. The second person comes up. If they want the present that the first person has, they can steal it from the first person, and then the first person can go and pick another present from the pile. The third person can then either steal from the second person or the first person, or they can pull their own, and then so on and so forth. The fourth person can steal from the previous three or do their own. Number 5 can steal from so on and so forth. So how many you have in there? So this one is going to be more lines as that there is one big prize that everybody wants, and they will kill each other to get it, sort of thing. That's the rumor anyway. Offset, a member of the hip-hop group Migos, was shot and is in stable condition at a club in Florida this week. Memory of a Killer with Patrick Dempsey is renewed for a second season. Tumor with Sam Rockwell has finished filming, and when they finished production, they revealed that Chris Messina, Michael Pena, and Esai Morales had also joined the cast. So we'll be seeing that sooner or later. Sam Rockwell can really do no wrong, really. This is weird. Comics Unleashed with Byron Allen is set to replace the Stephen Colbert Late Night Show. I don't think it's going to do all that well. So if you are killing Stephen Colbert because of the ratings, yeah, you are not going to win this. Speaking of, that's the fact that I have this back to back with Colbert. Aragorn will be recast in the Hunt for Gollum film because Viggo Mortensen is now too old to play the role, or has said he really didn't want to replay it. So here we go. Now, Glenn Powell has been signed up with to Judd Apatow's new film that has been unnamed. Well, we now have a name for it, and a few more cast members. It's called The Comeback King. I think it's about a country western singer who comes back. Glenn Powell's a star. Christine Milioti, Madeline Klein, and Stavros Hawkins and Lee Jin Hao have all been cast as well. It'll be directed by Judd Apatow and set to debut February 5th, 2027. Next week's episode of Dylan Knows is going to be interesting because CinemaCon is next week, which will be revealing a bunch of new photos, potential trailers, and other interesting stuff for upcoming films for the rest of this year and the next year. This is the convention where movie theaters go to see what stuff they should book for their movie theaters and how many theaters they should do and what they should do and what films are going to be the hot tickets, which ones they're going to need to, they believe, put in more theaters, pour more times in, so on and so forth, which will be played by IMAX, stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting. So we're going to get a lot of interesting new info about stuff that's upcoming this summer into the fall as well, including we're going to get our first look at Godzilla Minus Zero, which is great. Can't wait to see that. That's on the 14th. So we'll be getting a lot of information about that. Next week's show is probably going to be a lot of CinemaCon stuff. So can't go wrong with that. The Writers Guild has come to an agreement with the major studios and streaming, so we're not going to have a strike again like we did about 2 or 3 years ago. So that's good for the writers anyway. The actors are due up next down the line. We'll see if that works out. Dungeon Crawler Carl TV series is in development at Peacock. The BBC version of Lord of the Flies, which has been looking for American distribution and then got it with Netflix. Netflix has released, their the first trailer for it. I believe it is coming out the first weekend in May. The Breadwinner movie trailer with Mandy Moore was debuted this week as well. Germany opens the world's first molten salt nuclear reactor that runs on nuclear waste and cannot physically melt down because it's already melted down, I think. It's a great idea. It's safe and will pretty much have the benefits of nuclear, but without the potential for bad meltdowns. Anniversaries this week. A Quiet Place debuted 8 years ago this week. Major League debuted 37 years ago this week. Bad Boys debuted 31 years ago this week. The Sandlot debuted 33 years ago this week. And the original Thing from Another World debuted 75 years ago this week. Crazy, man. Crazy. Deaths, Edward Graczyk. Come back to the Five and Dime. Jimmy Dean, playwright, died at the age of 84. Saul Consuelos, the father of Mark Consuelos, passed away. Joyce Hummel, the first woman to write Wonder Woman comics, passed away this week as well. Yoshihisa Kishimoto, the creator of Double Dragon and Renegade video games, passed away this week as well. Garner Extrain, a former Canadian Football League player, passed away this week. Pearl Fryer, an iconic Bishopville topiary artist, died at the age of 86 this week. And John Nolan, an actor in The Dark Knight Rises and Person of Interest, who also happens to be the uncle of Chris Nolan and his brother Jonathan Nolan, passed away this week as well. I think they actually literally passed away today. Right before I came on the show, they announced it. There's anything here? Nope. Getting ready to turn the page here. It's about to enter March 12th time with very little left here. So what's up next? By Any Means sets a Labor Day weekend release. It is a conspiracy thriller film starring the always busy Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. I've talked about him a couple times. It set to debut on Labor Day this week, or not Labor Day, the Friday before. Labor Day weekend is when it's supposed to debut. Ride Along 3 is in early development with Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. It is officially Sunday, April 12th. It's 12 midnight right now. Happy Orthodox Easter to everybody who participates. At this time last week, I was getting the Easter baskets ready for our Easter celebration. So that was fun. And again, I'm just going to be over an hour here, which is crazy. One Piece is teaming up with the Popeyes fast food joint with a special meal set for April 13th. Popeyes are up the street from my work, so that's good. The Devil Wears Prada 2 has Funko Pops. I may have to get the Anne Hathaway one for no reason whatsoever. Late last week, this came up after I did my show. An Anaheim Angels outfielder broke a record at Major League Baseball, I guess he broke a record or he set a record, whatever. And I think he set a record. He stole 3 home runs from batters in one game. That's for those who don't know. That's when batters look like they're going to hit a home run. His head out over the fence. He jumps up, grabs it, and catches it before it goes out. He did it 3 times in one game, and that's never been happened before. That's good. Wisconsin man banned from all libraries on earth. Don't know what he did, but that's the story, and they're sticking to it. Before we get to the last story of the week, we've got one anniversary and one death. An anniversary, Rio 2, also with Anne Hathaway. Animated film debuted 12 years ago this week. And death, Butch Wilson, a former Baltimore Colts football player, passed away this week. Before we get to, because the hour has not even hit yet, before we get to the final story of the week, let's see if anything pops up here. Oh, I'm so sick of these reels. It's REM Day. Murmur, the band's debut studio album, was released 43 years ago this week. 3 years ago. Yay, anniversary. All right. I'm glad I checked that out. I forgot it was REM Day here coming up. Nope. I'm just doing a quick run through here real quick. Nope. That might be in the last thing right now. Nope, don't give a shit. I think this may be it for you to the last story of the week. Again, just trying to kill a little bit more time, get it over an hour. All right, that's all I'm going to do right now. So Murmur is the end of the storyline. Anything else, I'll have to wait till next week. And it's going to happen as soon as I shut down. Something's going to pop up. They're like, damn it, I wish I could tell you right now. But nope. One last roll through here. Nope. All right. Another quick and easy episode this week. The final story this week. Scientists, and this is not fake news, it's not The Onion, this is all real stuff. Scientists have discovered that mammals can absorb oxygen through their butts. They did tests and they proved that humans can breathe in oxygen through their mouth and also can breathe it in through their butts, which sort of makes the whole Ace Ventura butt talking thing seem kind of interesting. But it is a true scientific research thing, and I never expected it. But here we are. Gotta love the world. All right, that's it for this week. Next week, we've got CinemaCon stuff, so hopefully we'll have some really cool stuff. We will definitely be talking about the Godzilla Year Zero stuff because we'll be seeing that. But we'll see if we have anything else that pops up, new pictures, new trailers, whatever. Maybe get our first look at Avengers Doomsday. Who knows? We'll see about that. So that'd be pretty cool. This week also is on the 14th is Sarah Michelle Gellar's birthday. I know because I've been kind of obsessed with her for a long time. I know that her birthday is April 14th. The historically speaking, the Titanic sinks this week. I think the 12th of April, maybe. That's today. I don't think the Titanic sinks today. Maybe it does. But the Titanic sinks this week. Abraham Lincoln gets assassinated this week as well. There's probably something else I'm missing. I know there's something other big stuff that happens on April 20th. Is the Virginia Tech shooting this week also. The anniversary of the Virginia Tech shooting, I think, is this week also. I really think it is. Yep, April 16th. Okay, so technically it will be this week because next week's show will be on the 18th of April. So yes, the Virginia Tech shooting happened this week as well. Let's see when Titanic sank. April 15th. Okay, so it's the day after Sarah's birthday. All right, so, and then Abraham Lincoln. was on April 14th. Okay, which is on Sarah Michelle Gellar's birthday. So let's say we got that all that's coming up. We'll talk about that next week on anniversaries. But just want to give you a heads up that we have those anniversaries coming up this week. All right. I think I'm done. Happy Orthodox Easter, all those who celebrate. It's a depressing time for all the Baltimore County school students whose last day of spring break is today, the Sunday, April 12th. They go back to school tomorrow, the 13th. My wife goes back to work. She's been off a whole week also, so she's not happy about that either. So whatever. And I think I'm going to be taking a day off this week. We'll see, because I got some stuff I need to do. We'll see what happens. Probably not, because I got to leave early on the 23rd. And I'm taking off May 1st. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I will see you all later. Sleep well. Have a good week. Keep surviving. And enjoy your week.